Hi, it's MJ, and today is Sunday, and it's October 6th, and this is the 10th house briefing. In this session, what we do is we go over important things that have happened in the past week. During the week, when we're doing charts and stuff, we're really down deep into the weeds, and sometimes we don't sort of poke our head up and get an idea of what's going on overall. So these sessions are sort of hopefully shorter, but more to the point of what is happening and why specifically in, the charts, what is causing that, and in effect, how the power is shifting. So a few things I want to note here. And let's go back to one of the charts I had done, and that was on Qatar. And I had said that they were not very comfortable with Israel bombing them, and that their relationship was going to cool, and they were going to extract some type of something from the United States or from Trump. And that's exactly what happened. This past week, what happened is Trump pledged to, in effect, defend Qatar. And this is a bit surprising. It's unprecedented to actually come out and do that. Now, he may also want to do this because he's building a big type of center there. I think it's golf or something. But it's just unprecedented what he's done. And this goes back to Qatar being bombed by Israel. So that gives you a little bit of idea of the dynamics that are going on in the Middle East. I want to also, even though we haven't done charts on it, I do want to note the Palestine and Israel, specifically Hamas ultimatum that Trump gave. And this may not work very well. We haven't done charts on it, but I will be doing it this week. So maybe don't get your hopes up. Next thing I want to mention is on Virginia. And this is specifically the meeting of the military. And as I had noted in the charts, this was in effect back in August. I noticed something was going on in Virginia that was pretty significant. And what happened was a significant piece was the meeting of the generals. Also, to a lesser extent, Comey. But that meeting of the generals did turn out to be a loyalty test. In effect, they were told that they're not going to be loyal, just to sort of pack up and leave. So we'll have to see where that moves to. It's sort of, again, unprecedented, and neither Pete Hegseth or Trump got a good reaction from that. I think everyone is sort of, sloughing, headset off, and it's Trump everyone's worried about, which is deservedly who we should be worried about. Because Hegseth won't do anything really without Trump. He might do it unintentionally, just because he's not very intelligent. Well, I shouldn't say not intelligent. He's not good in his job as of yet. Now, the next thing I want to bring up, we've been doing the dailies on Trump, and that really gives you an idea of where his frame of mind is. And we can see that he's really not heading into being serious about negotiations. A lot of what he's doing is playing, and that's not really a good place to be. And we did the monthly on Trump, and just to note that we're going to have stuff coming up on the 13th and 14th. So it does look maybe on the 13th that he might have something nice, unexpected happen. But on the 14th, we're going to have stuff that maybe his energy is sort of sapped and things like that. But we may not be seeing it because it's retrograde. Now, I also want to bring up all the things that are happening with places like Chicago and Portland. I had noted back months ago. And if you can't find it, put it in the comments and I'll probably see it and I'll give you the link. I had noted that we were going to have the government going after the people. And this is widespread. It's not going to be limited to just these cities. This is a Pluto in effect on Venus, which is the communities. So Pluto is control, and it is sort of meandering back and forth over Venus, which is the communities. it will be moving to sort of go back and forth over Jupiter, which is in effect the people. So this is not lessening up. It is likely to get a little bit worse, maybe a little bit more directed towards specific people. So with that, let's move on to what we talked about this week. And first thing we talked about is we looked at Charlie Kirk's and Martin Luther King's charts. And I just want to bring out that what you can accomplish is sometimes dependent on where you are. So I wanted to point out that King actually had a lot of trines to the United States chart, versus King had squares. And don't think that if you have squares, you can't accomplish things. You can. You can accomplish a lot. It's just that it takes so much work, and it's hard. It's a struggle. And that's what King's life was. But he accomplished a lot. Just like Kirk had a lot of trines, so things would be easier for him. So he can accomplish things, but it's easier. Might I suggest that people that are into the astrology, you actually get your chart and overlay it on the United States chart and see where there are good things, trines, where there are difficult things. And it'll give you an idea of where you can succeed a little bit easier or where it's going to be tougher. But it doesn't mean you don't go down the tough path, It just means you know that you're going there, because sometimes it's worth more. Now, if you get to that point and you do that, you might also want to take the state you're in and also put that in there. Because in some cases, just moving to a different state can actually change your opportunities. Okay, it can change, for example, your house of money. Okay, so it can change how your chart lays out or where that state's planets fall in your chart. So it's just something to keep in mind to try and do. So now let's take a look at our next one, which is Stephen Miller. Now, I did Stephen Miller's and I did Vogt's chart, and it's specifically so people don't take their eye off the ball. Stephen Miller is, in effect, he's a shock value. So whenever he's on, try not to react to what he's saying. And I know it's so difficult. But they put him on because he has shock value. Notice he's not on all the time. And it's usually when they wanted to divert attention from something. So with him, the focus is that right around 1024, in about 2 weeks, there may be a little upset in his life. So it could be maybe he gets a promotion. It could be maybe he resigns. It could be maybe he's used in some type of scapegoat. There's a public backslash against the ICE operations. So he's someone to keep in mind. Now, I'm not going to characterize who he is or whatever. We talked about his natal chart, so you could get an idea of that shock value piece, just so you can prepare for it and not fall for it. Now, the next one we looked at was Vogt. And Vogt, in this case, I'm a little concerned about because he has quite a few angles that indicate to me he's going to be working behind the scenes. So even though he's not on the air and people are not talking about him, he's doing stuff. And that's a little bit scary. He is with the Office of Management and Budget. So he's the one that's going to supposedly be picking what's going to be, what offices are going to be closed, who's going to be laid off and all that. So this is a person to watch, but he's not really in the limelight, so you really can't see what he's doing. But he's going to be doing quite a bit, and we need to be aware of that and see if we can track what's happening. Now, some of this actually might be coming up around January. And again, I'm not getting too much information before then, but at that point, it looks like there may be some issues with what he's trying to do. So it may start coming up into the media. We've also got something around March. where again, he can't do some actions, so it might show up in the media. But this is someone just to sort of keep in mind. He's got some power. He's the guy behind Project 2025. So you may want to, if you haven't already, read Project 2025 and be nervous. The next one we have is Erica Kirk. I did her because I had been sort of compelled to do Charlie Kirk's back in August. And I had noted that, he has potential for the future. And I did get questions after, well, what type of potential if he's assassinated? It's his legacy. If you look at, if someone dies, their chart still lives on pretty much forever. So what'll and I wondered what she's going to be doing with his legacy. Because what I was seeing in his chart was very promising for the company he has. And, it looks like she, even though she's very conventional, she's very conservative, she appears to be, very Catholic, very spiritual, very much into faith. It looks like she will, and she has taken over his company, which is not typically a position that a conservative female would really be in. Being a head of a company. It's more of a home type thing. Conservative females at home, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the house. But, it seems like she's trying to bring both her worlds together. She also is, dealing with a lot of heartbreak here. And I know people are looking at her and saying she's, profiting off her husband's death. It is her life. It is her story. So rather than at this point condemning her for something we haven't really seen, maybe condemn people like Vance, people like Trump, that really turned the service into, a big show. And versus, she only had a very small part in it. Considering it was her husband, it's unusual. So she was really, pushed to the back. Now, on her chart, it looks like she's going to have a lot of struggles for quite a while trying to formulate how to go ahead with this company. But she's got Pluto actually doing some nice angles here right around the end of October. So at that point, she might decide how she wants to broach moving forward with Charlie's company. And this, as I noted in the video, this has to do with trying to keep his legacy intact, but also she has to be authentic. So it has to reflect who she is if she's going to be able to push this forward. So it'll be interesting to see where she goes with this. Does it become more of a GOP training thing? Does it become more of a spiritual, a faith, a Catholic type of training ground? Does it become more of, more bringing in females as a continuum on the colleges? So there's a lot that's interesting here. And it's sort of the up and coming. And to also go one step further here, I am trying to get, an idea of who the up and coming voices are. So who are these influences? And this is both on the, right side and on the left side. And I'm not talking about someone like AOC. I know about her. So not people already in Congress, people maybe that are running for Congress, people that have podcasts, people that are saying things that seem to, stir up things in you. If you know of someone, and if there is a date of birth, can't do anything without a date of birth, pop something in the comments. And I'll take a look and see whether or not it's someone that strikes a chord with me. Because I won't do something if it doesn't strike a chord with me. Some of them, like Melania Trump, unless there's a reason to do her, I won't. She has a private life, and she's not affecting policy at this point. But people that might affect policy, the up-and-coming voices. So again, pop that in the comments, and thank you for listening, and have a great day. Bye now.